pretty special.
All right, let's see. Before we get this meeting started, we have neither our board chair nor our vice chair present for this meeting. So does any board member wish to serve as board chair pro tempore to facilitate this meeting tonight? Volunteers? Volunteers? So then without objections, I will serve in the role as chair pro tempore. Any objections? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, then I will call this meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So first of all, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So,
I will second that.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that motion passes. Before I take a motion to approve the consent agenda, there is a minor correction. I noticed going through it that the minutes for the March 11th meeting show me as making a motion to
Oh, you
approve
weren't
the
there?
consent agenda. I believe that was supposed to be David Geels.
who wants?
So David has made the correction. He didn't want to reprint all of our
Okay.
packets. So I would amend the minutes as previously stated. So do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
Jeremy?
I'll second.
David? Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes as well. Let's see, and that brings us to public input.
We do have one. Let's see if any others.
Okay, while David's grabbing that, I'll say for public input, speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear personal complaints concerning school personnel, nor against any person connected with the school system. Our general time limit is 3 minutes. Board chair will direct the visitor to the appropriate means for board consideration and disposition of complaints involving individuals for board policy BPDH. And we have one, Katrina Murray.
Katina Murray.
Oh, Katina, I'm sorry. I'm a little blurry here.
Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to speak. Pardon me, my nerves are super up there. My name is Katina Murray. I'm the mother of 2 children in this school, actually right here, 3rd and 5th grade. The purpose of me standing before you this evening is to bring attention and awareness to the behavior and bullying crisis here at this school. My kids have been in this school district for 6 years now. 3 of those years have been at Sunset. This is hands down by far been the worst year for my children, and we can compare that to COVID. What I want each of you to know and hear me when I say both of my kids are afraid to come to school every day. Every day I have to send my kids and they're scared to come to this school. Pardon me. My 3rd grader had a meltdown at school a couple weeks ago, crying because of the violence that she's seen on the playground when another little boy choked another child out and she thought the kid couldn't breathe. She went to her teacher and she told her that she was scared to be at school. And she knows that her teacher is a safety for her, but she doesn't know that the rest of the school is a safe place for her. And my little girl is 9 years old. She doesn't see violence at home. She sees it when she comes to school. That's not okay with me as a mom. Moving on to my 5th grader. He has some special need considerations and he's on an IEP. He also doesn't feel protected at school and he's scared to go. He has even better reasons than his sister to be scared though. because you see, my 10-year-old has been physically assaulted 5 times this year, all in the care of this school here. November 2nd, November 28th, November 30th, December 11th, and March 11th, my child was assaulted. And when I say assaulted, I mean if I, as an adult, was to go into public and put hands on another individual like was done to my child in the school, I'd be arrested for assault and battery. Each date I just listed to you guys was physical hands-on on my child, and he refuses to protect himself. 2 incidents, my kid was sent to the school nurse. This does not include the constant verbal abuse every single day, and this is by the same child. 1 kid doing this to him. What I can say is this is 100% affecting my child and his productivity as a student, and already being on an IEP, he has a hard time. It's hard. It's so hard for him. But now my child's getting in trouble because he's reacting to the situations, and now his teacher's calling him behavioral for the first time in my kid's whole entire school career. He has been called behavioral because he's tired of getting picked on. I'm a very present and active parent in my children's lives, and I have been since day one. I'm the parent who's going to step up and speak up, not just for my kids, but for all kids. These children deserve to feel safe and heard at school, and we as parents deserve to have our babies protected, and we deserve action. There needs to be conversations between this district, the staff, the students, and parents to understand the scope and nature of these issues that we are all facing. Form some subcommittees that these issues can be filtered down to for evaluation, input, and action. Collaborate and make some effective plans for interventions that can be implemented. And I realize that there are anti-bullying policies in place, but I'm also here to tell you as a parent of a child who's being bullied every single day that they're not working. They're not. And I implore this district to seriously evaluate the very real and present crisis at this school. And I am certain I'm not the first parent you've heard it from, probably not going to be the last. But what I can say is next year, my kids are not coming back to this district. Thank you all very much for listening to me.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. Sorry that your children are having to endure difficult time at the school, especially this school. I have a lot of reason doing a lot of stuff here. So definitely something that we're going to look into. And as I understand, some of these issues were addressed at our last board meeting. So there may be some things in progress already that I'm not aware of. But thank you for expressing your opinions. All right, moving on, we've got an out-of-state travel request for the, it says the debate, speech and debate.
Hi, I am Becky DeGan, and I'm Abby Erb, and I'm here the captains of the Marshall High School Speech and Debate team. We qualified 5 sophomores to attend the National Speech and Debate Tournament in Des Moines, Iowa this June. This tournament is one of the largest academic competitions in the United States, with over 7,000 students competing over the course of a week. Alicia Pottle, Becky, and I will be returning for our second time. We are grateful to have this experience witnessing the best pieces in the nation, so that we can bring what we learned back to the team and help rebuild next year. Sophomore Sam Paul and Ty Bellizer will be competing as well, and we are all thrilled to have the opportunity to travel and compete at the national level. We have been fundraising the money we need to go by asking local businesses and community members to sponsor our team. We would greatly appreciate it if we could get your permission to travel out of state to Iowa for the national competition. Are there any questions? Sorry.
So what events are people participating in?
Alicia is going for Inform, Sam and Ty are going for Duo, and both me and Becky are going for Storytelling and Prose.
Anybody, have you been to Des Moines before?
No.
Don't be too excited. So when you come back, it would be fun to hear about it, and also maybe one of the performances from one of the members. But we have to train more people to come and
Yeah.
judge competitions. So if we have you guys practice on it, would be helpful for us to all learn what it is that we need to do to
Yeah.
help judge. So,
Okay, well, if there's not any other questions, thank you for your time.
thank you.
I think you can see the largest corn cob in.
I was gonna make a corn.
They had a good basketball
We're
team.
super excited, especially since we went to Phoenix last year, to follow it up with Iowa.
Ireland summer sounds a little better than Phoenix. All right, so I would entertain a motion to this travel request.
I move that we approve the travel requests for the date and statement to travel to Iowa. Maybe meet Kristen Clark or something.
I said, go ahead.
I second that.
Let's see, who got the second on that? Okay, David. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that motion passes. Well, thank you for, your request. We look forward to seeing how you do at nationals.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next we've got our Marshall High School student rep, Maria.
Okay. So, our dance team, first and foremost, our dance team season ended, and while the results weren't exactly what they expected, they still did a spectacular job in state, and we are very proud of them and for what they did. Basketball and softball are starting off strong, and they start league play this Tuesday or tomorrow. Tennis has started with girls competing in 3 matches, and the boys have had 4. Because they had a double header last week, and girls' double header is this week. Golf is doing amazing, with the boys having a good start, and Bella Roberts and Shay Herzog placing first and second at the tournament. Track season is also officially started. Bodie Lutz achieved a new 200-meter record in the icebreaker meet with a 22.09 second PR. The earliest record was set by Joe Lehman in 1992. So he broke a 31-year record. Our first boys volleyball team ever, which consists of 10 boys, coached by Rhea Moser, has the first game against Cresswell on April 10th. OBOB, or Oregon Battle of the Books, finished top 4th in the region. And Speech and Debate has 5 students qualifying for nationals: Alicia Puddle, Ty Felder, Sam Quant, and their captains, Abby and Becky Erb, who just spoke. Abby and Becky began, I'm not sure, they're not related. It will be held in Des Moines, Iowa, and pretty much the entire team qualified for state, which is on April 18th to 20th. The events that are either happening already or are coming up are the Coos Bay North Bend Rotary 4-way test speech contest happened, and Cyrene Dorfmeister, or CD, got first, and Alicia Pottle got second place. The Poetry Slam will be on April 25th at 5 o'clock in the auditorium. I do not poetic. But CD competed in it last year and she got first, so I'm sure she will compete again. Parent-teacher conferences are on April 17th or 3 o'clock at the high school. Prom is on May 4th, also can't go to that. Earth Week is on the 22nd through the 25th. The Madrala Players play Midsummer Night's Dream. Will start on May 10th and will go for 2 weekends. I encourage you all to go check that out at the Marshall Drama Lab, which, if you don't know, is like right behind the high school. And ASB elections are coming up. And on April 25th, the Marshfield Charity Banquet will be hosted by next year's contestants, and the winner from this year will be announced. And last but not least, I understand that the community likes the lawn in front of Marshfield to be pristine, but I can speak for most of my peers when I say we would love to go outside and do our work while we lay on the grass occasionally, not to play football and to rip up and destroy the grass, but just to get some vitamin D. So I would please ask the community to allow us to do that occasionally. We won't destroy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the school getting complaints?
Mr. Ashton just told me to briefly talk about that because apparently community members have been very against students, going on the grass because they like it to be super nice, but, I don't know. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I said to Mr. Ashton that any of those community members, they can come to our school for a day. And instead of going on the grass, they can walk all the way down to the turf field for 30 minutes and then walk all the way back for lunch. And they have to be back on time, in 5 minutes. Just challenge all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Next we have CDEA business, says Becky Crane. I don't see her here.
She's online.
Oh, online. I can't read the thing with the reading glasses on. Keep swapping.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for allowing me to attend online. It sure is convenient at times. And I apologize for not being there in person. Last month, just a little update. Talked a lot about sunset in crisis. Considering you're at they're presenting tonight, we're just looking forward to hearing an update from them. I just wanted to remind the board members that we, as CBEA, invited you to go look for yourself to see what's happening at the end. Still think that's a great idea to make it. As for updates on what we are doing in CBEA this month, busy time of year in schools. We just had elections. Our elections are actually for officers begin August 1st, and so they're for next year. But we have some new officers. Tracy Cates from Madison is going to be our new vice president, and Diane Handy from Madison is going to be our new treasurer. Tracy Cates is in the National Education Association Representative Assembly in Philadelphia this summer, so that was part of our elections as well. I think you know, we are kind of in a holding pattern for our president position, as we have an elected president who's out on leave, and as our bylaws state, we have to wait until that leave is taken care of before we can move forward. So I, as the vice president, will be interim president until then. Later this month, and actually in 2 weeks, we have the Oregon Education Association Representative Assembly in Portland that we send 4 delegates to every year. So that is Diane Handy, Tracy Cates, myself, and Mary Margaret Stockert. So we're looking forward to that in 2 weeks. We have scholarships out currently for awarding hopefully a couple scholarships to CBA members, children in our district that are graduating this year. So looking forward to seeing how those go. And last, I'm about to send out a formal invitation, but I'd like to announce that we are going to have our annual education celebration during the week of Teacher Appreciation Week. We're going to do it on Thursday, May 9th. It will be at Heritage Hall, as it has been the last couple of years, 4 to 6 o'clock. And we'd love to see admin as well as school board members join for cake and such. We like to congratulate our probationary graduates that have put in their 3 years and stayed with us. We put out today, an email went out to licensed staff asking for nominations for going the extra mile in years. So we'll be awarding those as well as retirees. So we hope to see some of you there. Thank you so much.
All right, Becky, unfortunately, your audio is cutting in and out a little bit. I think I probably got about 75% of that. So if you wouldn't mind maybe submitting a short written version to David so we can forward it on to the rest of the board members so that we don't miss anything important.
I will do so right away.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else, Becky? Nope. Okay, next is OSCA business, Bree Landon.
In person today. Yay for no more illness in my house. It's really fun. When I had one kid, it never lasted long. And then you add that second kid and it's like it just keeps going in a tornado in your house. So first things that I wanted to do was I have a member spotlight for you guys, which my phone died. So I'm going to have to read it from the TV screen. And I'm blind. So this is Madeline Thurman, and she works here at Sunset as one of our behavior EAs in the school. I can get really close, so I can just read it even, so you don't have to try and blow it up. And so she was nominated by one of her peers here at Sunset for being patient and good with students. She has a good sense of humor with her position and coworkers, which makes this is a fun place to be for students and staff. Madeline always responds right away when there is a need. She displays leadership with her work ethic, collaboration, and crisis communication with staff and students. We would not have the success that we do have this year without her, and Madeline is a huge asset to the Coos Bay School District as well as Sunset School. And so if you guys ever see her around at the school, you guys can say hi and tell her good job. And then just a couple of small updates. This is National Library Week from the 7th through the 13th in April. And today for the 8th is the right to read. And I'm going to quote Terry Jones. We would love to see the right to read and our libraries and celebrate by making sure that our libraries are funded as their own line item. And in an ideal world, there'd be $20 per student. I also would like to take a moment, just recognize with it being National Library Week, at how blessed we are to have our media clerks that run our libraries. And without them, we wouldn't have these spaces in our schools be what they are. And so just a moment of thank you. I think last time we spoke, it was Classified Appreciation Week already, and we celebrated our members by handing out goodie boxes with cash for our union members. And we will be sending 3 people plus one more person who's on our board and the state board. And so myself as president, which it could change with elections, I guess, by June. But right now it's nominated for myself, Wilma Laney, who's currently our vice president. Allison Bingham has also been nominated to go to the conference. And then Terry Jones will be going representing our state board as well. And one of the projects that we are working with right now that we have talked about with HR is updating our job descriptions, because as we go through them, they're pretty old. Did you know to be a secretary in our district that you must be qualified to use a typewriter? And so just meeting over this summer, because it's very busy right now and a lot of us don't have time, but kind of putting in some of that work during the summer months. And as Michelle's available to us to update and refresh to have our job descriptions match what today's world looks like is one of the projects we'll be tackling as a district and union, and making sure that we include the people who work in those job descriptions and helping us update those. Do you guys have any questions? That's all I have for the evening.
All right, thank you. Terry, I do miss your library plugs every time you talk. That was always.
They did a great job. Because they weren't getting them, we're just through somebody else.
She said, is there anything you want me to include? And I thought, well, yeah.
I told her, I'm gonna say, and Terry says.
I figured you would probably have already.
Libraries. So next we have our featured school, which is Sunset. It's full name.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to speak about this, but I just wanted to give it to the first person here down the line, and if you could just pass it down. I'll talk a little bit about what it is in a minute, but I want you to be able to hold it, touch it, look at it. It's pretty cool.
I think I need to move this forward then so I can see what's on the screen. Thanks, Stephen. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut some people. Okay, so, welcome to Sunset, for this evening, everyone. I'm Michelle McKine, I'm the principal here. Thank you, thank you. You know, before I even get started, I want to acknowledge that I have a wonderful staff. Both classified and licensed folks are very much appreciated here in the building, by me, by the other administrators here. We've got a really, really good team. I also want to acknowledge that this year has been tough. We've had some extreme behaviors that we haven't seen before. And it's challenging us this year to be able to manage those behaviors in the classroom and on the playground. And so I know that you heard from staff at the last board meeting. Obviously, we had a parent tonight who has some serious concerns. We do too. We acknowledge that we have work to do and there are problems to be solved. Go ahead, David. So in order to prepare for tonight, I was thinking about this and I thought, well, I do need to acknowledge what has come in front of the board recently, but I also want to acknowledge that we have positive things happening here at Sunset as well. And I didn't want to come up here and say, oh, we have all these amazing things and not acknowledge the struggles that we're having. But at the same time, I didn't want to ignore the fact that we have wonderful students here who are doing some really great things. And those need to be acknowledged as well. So what you're looking at in the first slide, this is a photo of our anchor crew. And our SEL teacher and counselor is responsible for our anchor crew. And this is a group of students who in grades 4 through 6 do a lot of positive things around the school, including welcoming every new student that comes to Sunset. They take them on a tour of the school, introduce them to all staff that they may come into contact with. So secretaries, myself, a variety of different folks in the building to really help them make them feel comfortable when they come to Sunset. They do some other things too, which I'll talk a little bit about. Something else I wanted to highlight this evening is our elective options for our 6th graders. That's one of the electives that is the Dolphin that I asked you to have a look at. That is called Tea Time, which is technology, engineering, and art. We also have our RADS group, which recognizes positive things that are going on here in the building. We have our home ec class, our watershed class, which is our partnership with Coos Watershed and one of our 6th grade science teacher. I don't want to ignore the fact that we have music offered 3rd grade through 5th grade, and then band offered this year towards 6th graders. School assemblies are back as monthly recognition for the students doing well. Positive character traits are recognized, as well as a variety of entertainment highlights. We've had the jazz band, concert band, come over from the high school to perform for our students. We've had the Clam Bake Music Festival folks out here performing for our students. And then we do silly staff competitions too, to engage our students and to build those relationships.
increased parental involvement this year. We started with the Booster Club last year, but it didn't really, it kind of fizzled out toward the end of the year. The Booster Club this year has been reignited, doing really positive things for our school, including family movie nights. We've had 2 so far this year, where families come in, we provide popcorn, pizza, drinks and so on, and they all gather together, bringing blankets or comfortable pillows and everything and watch a movie as families. We've increased our classroom volunteers and then had our winter family night, our winter festival in January, and then our family science and literacy night, which is always a huge production, will be happening April 18th. So I would encourage you to come. We feed our families first. They engage in all kinds of different science experiments and a variety of different performance activities. So we're always working. Oh, gosh, I almost forgot. Robotics. Want to make sure I mention robotics. We've been doing robotics now, I want to say 4 years.
It's been a lot longer than that. I was looking it up the other day. It's
Has
gotta be
it?
at least 8 or 9 years.
I think, but having a teacher do a robotics club has just been in the last, 3 years?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's been a real positive opportunity for our students. Go ahead, David. So we're always working to improve our use of data to drive our decision making. In an MTSS model, Tier 1 supports include all students. These are the things that we do that are designed to support every student in the school. However, those supports don't always meet the needs of every student. A lot of times we're hitting maybe 80% of our population. Tier 2 supports include skills groups run by our SEL counselor, social emotional learning interventions, and of course, academic interventions such as Title I. In each of those interventions, folks are both pushing into classrooms and pulling students out of classrooms to provide them more intensive small group support. And then Tier 3 supports, the need has grown. Tier 3 includes our students who are on IEPs, who are on 504s, and then of course our Structured Learning Center, which is our students who have pretty extreme behavior needs and supports. So that tier 3 support system is what we need to focus more on and provide additional ways to support the students in our building who have the most extreme behavior. So let's look at some data. Next slide. Can you guys see this? You can see the colors. Yeah, right, okay. Well, the colors are really kind of what you want to look at. So the top 2 lines are district-wide for grade 3. The next 2 lines are Sunset, grade 3. And then the top line in each section is beginning of your data, and then middle of your data is underneath it. So we're looking at grade 3 here, grade 4 here, grade 5, and grade 6. I did a little narrative on the side that would kind of help you to know what you're looking at. And what we're looking at is in the 3rd grade, beginning of your data compared to middle of your data indicates that students who were well below benchmark grew, and that appears to be district-wide as well. So that blue area is getting a little bit bigger than it was at the beginning of the year. I'm sorry, let me restate that. Students well below benchmark group. So we're looking at the red area. I misstated that, I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous for two. And so that's not what we want to see, of course. But that's an honest look at where we are right now, as a district and as third grade. And when I say as a district, you know, we all know we're talking about Millicom hands together. In terms of fourth grade, beginning of year data compared to middle of year data indicates that students above benchmark group. And this too, was seen district-wide. So this time we are looking at blue and we're looking at the growth that fourth grade made. The red, area decrease, which is also what we want to see. And so we're pleased at the progress that we're making in the fourth grade. Fifth grade, beginning of year data compared to middle of year data indicates that students above benchmark group, which is consistent district-wide. So again, the fifth grade, we're seeing some good results in English language arts. Sorry.
No, upstairs aren't. I just wanted to kind of point out to everybody that the benchmark changes as the year goes on, right?
Yes.
Right? So, you know, if it's the same, it doesn't mean the kids aren't growing. They're just not exceeding the growth of the benchmark.
Correct.
Right? So if you're, so even if the number is exactly the same, the kids have grown. They just haven't made up the gap, right?
These are normed across Oregon or across, I mean, are they,
These are our DIBELS assessments that go along with our ELA curriculum.
so it's relative to the national averages, basically.
Okay, and then moving on to sixth grade, beginning of year data compared to middle of year data indicates, again, are well below benchmark group. But I think you explaining that the way that you did.
And I'm not justifying it all. I just
No.
recognize that it's not quite as brutal as it was.
It does say that the kids then are compared to the norms are not progressing in general in some of these grades as other school districts are. Right? Their progress in some of these grade levels are less than comparative to other districts.
It looks like maybe sixth, maybe fourth, yes. In the red zone kids only. I'm having a hard time seeing the difference between the blue and the green from this distance.
Yeah.
You know, so the lowest kids in those grades, are falling a little behind.
Yeah, it's like third to sixth grade.
Yeah. And that's good information. That tells you where you need, where we, you know, have some work to do. And there are some, you know, what, it was 2 months ago when we really started, or at least when I became aware of some of the behavioral things that were impacting the academics. And a tremendous amount of effort has been put in there. A lot of people are making plans, and I think that once a handle gets on that, you know, if you got behavioral under control, academics can then be the focus. And so, considering some of the concerns that we've had, I'm not overly concerned about these numbers. But even on this, I had the hour-and-a-half long discussion today with my cabinet about how we were going to increase, instructional leadership, you know, within our schools, because we need to support our staff. That there's nothing wrong with our staff. We need to support our staff. Sorry, I'll shut up.
That's okay. No, you're fine. You want to do the rest? I could
No.
discuss.
These are all students, right?
And I'd be opposite. All students that were tested, yes.
Okay.
So we do have occasional absences where we might not complete testing, for a student or two, but yes. This is
I mean,
school-wide
all of
testing,
your kids on IEPs are taking these tests.
yes.
and they are not, and they're the same test. So
Correct.
those kids that we know have difficulty already,
Yes.
it's hard. Actually, it's really hard to get to those grades.
Okay, next slide. So let's look at attendance data. I chose it instead of looking at it as, you know, how many of our kids are meeting this 90% school-wide, 90% positive attendance. I looked at it instead as to recognizing students who are rewarded for their attendance. So Rose Stinson does a wonderful job of keeping our attendance data. And each month, each quarter, she looks at student attendance data and rewards kids if they're 90% or above, and rewards them even more greatly if they're 100% and above. And so this takes the form of an attendance score. Students receive sort of a gold coin when they have 90% attendance or above, and they are able to go into the attendance store and turn in their gold coin for swag. You know, it's t-shirts, it's lanyards, sometimes it's goodies like beef sticks that they love, and Smensols, that's a huge hit. So in looking at our attendance data for third grade this last quarter, 38 students were at 90% attendance or above, and 4 students were at 100%. And that's 38 out of 92 students. In fourth grade, 61 students of 106 students were 90% or above, and 8 students were at 100% attendance. In the fifth grade, 39 students of 85 were at 90% or above, and again, 8 students at 100%. And in the sixth grade, 51 students out of 90 students were 90% or above, 5 students at 100%. So there's a lot to celebrate here. For those students who are coming to school every single day, not missing a day all year so far, and then the students who, you know, are at 90% or above. So some awesome things are happening at Sunset. We have some challenges as acknowledged, but great things are happening. The top picture is our anchor crew members who did a food drive. And the bottom picture is the buddy reading that we do with Madison, where our third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade students go over to Madison during Read Across America week. And they go and read to other students in their classrooms. I gotta tell you, it was so refreshing to me, and honestly a little surprising, that the students all went over and did the buddy reading. We did not have one big iteration. Not one problem, not one time that I needed to be called or that any other staff needed to come and support. The students really enjoy doing this, and they really step up to the challenge, and they did a great job. I already talked about attendance awards, the family events coming up, Booster Club, sixth grade elective options. I think I stated all of those. Anchor crew, things that I forgot to mention, we're doing, Sunset had a huge contribution to Coos Art Museum this year. They have one whole room in addition to some more space. And so we happen to have a sixth grade teacher here who is married to the new person that runs Coos Art Museum. And so we've arranged for all of our students to take field trips over to Coos Art Museum before the end of this month so that they can see their work in the museum. because a lot of the students were not able to do that on their own. So we're gonna make sure that they can do that. The Future Chef competition was here on March 19th, and we had a tie. One of our Sunset students was in tie for first place with the other students who was competing. They did an outstanding job, so they're both gonna go to regionals now. And then, of course, we have 4 field trips coming up, especially for 5th grade. We've got 4 of them this month. And then outdoor school happening for 6th grade at the 30th of this month into the 15th of May.
And where are they going this year? Where?
Your house.
It's in Florence and Arnie, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the camp, but we're going to somewhere close this time, which is really wonderful. Not such a long trip on the road, right? Not spending, 4 hours on a bus and then, it sucks up half your day. So it'll be really nice that we're going to Florence this year. Any other questions, Diane?
Yeah, by the way, you did a fabulous job. I don't know, it sounds like you said you didn't like public speaking, but you did wonderful. And thank you for acknowledging the challenges and then also kind of showing us the bright side of things. You had mentioned that you had the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and that the tier 3 was what was increasing, and those tend to be behaviors or kiddos with IEPs. I was curious, and maybe you don't have the data right now, but do those kiddos have a case management entity involved with them? I know not everybody on an IEP qualifies to have case management, and sometimes parents don't want it, but.
Are you talking about community living case management?
Yes.
I don't have an answer for you on that.
But some of the, does the case management entity, are they helping at all with services for the parents, to be able to maybe, that would help at school, that might transition into?
They're not coming into the school.
Okay.
Do
they attend any of the meetings, like IEPs or?
Not typically. We do have folks from Kairos who come in for skills coaching and peer support, who often participate in those meetings. And also, let me be clear, some of the students who are in need of tier 3 supports are not on an IEP or on a 504.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure. And then do some of the students have, and I'm sorry for maybe not the correct verbiage, but do you guys have positive behavior support plans? Like there's a support plan that is written to support the individual?
Yeah, so for most of the students, well, let me step back. We do, it depends on sort of what level of support plan. So for example, we've got our CELI classroom, or social emotional learning classroom. And the students have plans with goals who attend those group meetings and who get supports from that classroom. Then we have students who have behavior support plans who are on IEPs. We have some students with behavior goals written into their IEPs, but may not necessarily be on a behavior support plan.
Sure.
So there's kind of varying degrees, I want to say, of support plans for the different needs that we're trying to meet.
And then in those support plans or in those tier 3 kiddos, is there a lot of opportunity for the staff to give feedback? And like for those documents, I'm assuming it's a working document, to give feedback, like if something is challenging and not working, do the staff have that line of communication and open to be able to say, hey, this is wonderful that this is in the plan, but really this is a trigger versus something that's helping. And I've worked with him or her for the last 6 weeks, and I've noticed this is something that this individual actually, and I think, is there opportunity for staff or individuals to give that feedback?
I almost want to allow my staff to answer because I want to say yes. There seems to be really good communication, especially between our SLC teacher and the teachers who who shared those students. But what would you guys say? Do you think that there's
I'd like to say something.
opportunities available?
So the one student, one of the third grade students is my student. So I share him with SL. And we have a group text throughout the day that we're constantly, where is he? I have him, this and that, and or I get a text saying, hey, I need some worksheets. Yes, I got these worksheets for you, but somebody's gonna have to help him with it. Things like that. We have this going all day long. Today, for example, I get a text that says, hey, he's coming to class today. He hasn't been to class in a while. Hey, he's coming to class today, but he'll only come on these conditions. I said, no, this isn't working for me. One of the conditions he wants is to put headphones on and listen to YouTube music. That isn't gonna work with our Wi-Fi. So and I've had this conversation with him many times saying, hey, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You know, when I play music, I usually do it from a streaming, why don't we use the Wi-Fi? Anyway, so that was where she came and said, okay, thank you for letting me know that, we'll do something different. And so I guess it does, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was always a working way for you guys to give feedback. Sometimes people write these beautiful plans and then when you get to work them, they don't always work. And so just making sure that there was.
But I think that's kind of hard to say too, because like with an IEP, it's written once a year.
But it should be a working document, yes.
Well, behavioral support plans should be updated as needed. I know that you're working with Heidi on trying to review those every 6 weeks. I think one of the things that might have a big impact is some of the training that we have planned for this summer. In fact, today we were picking the dates for all of our classified staff and any licensed staff that is interested. In the beginning of that, and this is something I think that we all need, is a consistent language and how to take behavioral data. I don't think we're real good at taking behavioral data, you know, because it all kind of looks the same. It's behavior. And I think that we need to break that up and do a little bit better at actually having good data. So when you change the plan, there's a reason for it. And right now, I don't think that our data is as good as it could be.
And I'm just curious.
And we don't look at the behavior support plans as often as we should.
And I'm just simply curious because I love special education. That is who I am. I breathe it. And so if I have an opportunity to ask questions, or if I know a resource in the community that I think could help the school, I'm going to ask or going to look into it. And the only reason I asked about the case management entity is that while we know that they're not going to pay for something like school because in their mind, in the state's mind, the budget is already there for it, but they might be able to extend resources to the parents, to support the parents at home that may transition into school and make things better. And so I was just curious if they are getting invited to these meetings, and if they're not coming, or if they are not getting invited and maybe should be getting invited just for feedback, input, support for the parent. And sometimes they have funding and resources for the parents that might ease some of that. And not all kiddos have a case management. Sometimes I've just learned that a lot of people don't want case management because they view it as a like child protective services type thing and intrusive in their life. When really, case management can be such a wonderful resource and a blessing to families. But so I was just trying to work in my brain some things here that might be able to.
And we do often have advocates for the family or for the student coming to IEP meetings, such as, you know, their peer support coach or I'm trying to think of all of the different titles for the folks who come in from Iowa specifically or from supplements. And so oftentimes the parents will ask, you know, I want this person to come. And so, you know, that's always a welcome.
What agency are you talking about with the case management? I'm sorry, I don't know the county that well. so-
Well, the county is CLCM, it's Community Living Case Management, and so it's really up to the parents. They go through a screening process, and if I don't work for a case management entity, and I can't tell exactly what services they authorize, so I'm very careful. But once they're approved, and they have a case manager, varying on their organ needs assessment, or ANA, I'm not sure what it is for a kiddo, kind of determines services that are available to support them. And so it could be some kiddos have a PSW who comes in on the weekends, a personal support worker who supports the kiddo at home while mom or dad or auntie, uncle can get some stuff done around the house.
Respite.
And yes, some respite, exactly. And so sometimes they can fund things that maybe their insurance won't. That might make things easier, sensory equipment, shoes, different things. And so that's kind of just, sometimes small things add up to big things.
I think Lisa has a comment on this topic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Hi. A lot of our CLCM kiddos are students that have intellectual disabilities, autism, and some of them do have significant behavior issues. We are not allowed to invite them without parent permission, and the parent lets us know that they have caseworkers and they're more and they can come. We see it more at the high school level when we're working about transition and getting ready for post-secondary and supports for them and what life's going to look like when they get out of school. But they're more than welcome. Some of those folks, Community Connections will staff and we'll have CLCM there. So it's very different, but it's typically most of the kids that are in the life skills classrooms, but not necessarily the kids that access resource room. I don't know if that helps or not, but they're more than welcome. But the parent needs to let us know to invite them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious. Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Well, you were curious at the right time because it was the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Addie?
I really appreciate both of my children had IEPs when they went through school. And I appreciate what the departments are doing in school to work with families and everything. However, it really pains me to hear a mother come and say her child has been assaulted 5 times by the same child. And I want to know that something's happening, that's not going to happen again.
So
I just.
So I can tell you that we follow board policy and we do everything leading up to including suspension.
She can't talk about the individual kid.
No, I understand that.
Just
So
putting that out there.
So with any of these situations, this is what we do, but we also have to follow the law. We also are not quick to expel students. We work with families to provide support. I often meet with families regularly. First thing this morning, I was meeting with a family who don't want me to suspend their child, you know, but yet if they're being violent at school, there needs to be a consequence. So what we're struggling with this year is all of the consequences that we've traditionally used aren't working. They're not leading to change. The students who continue to hurt others aren't responding to traditional forms of discipline and haven't responded, well, some haven't responded to the behavior supports, the ceiling room supports, everything that we have here at the school. So things do happen,
And you still have to educate them.
We still get to.
And we have new laws around not, you know, it's very difficult to shorten somebody's day now. Uh, Suspension of a fifth grade or below. It's not impossible, but it's increasingly difficult to do so. Those two things alone, you know, we didn't have a lot of tools to begin with.
I
And they've
understand that.
taken away a couple.
But
of
I mean, something as easy as making sure that their schedules don't put them in proximity to each other.
Well, and we do that. We'll change students' classes if they're in the same classroom with someone who is causing a problem for them. However, you know, they've got recess at the same time. They might have PE at the same time. They have lunch at the same time. And so there are opportunities. I've had kids, I had a situation today, 2 kids were in the bathroom and got into a conflict in the boys' bathroom. And so, you know, we're working with every tool that we have.
Help me understand I want to thank you for your questions too. They're very, help me understand the general scope. Are we talking a few kids that are generating most of the issues? Are there 10 kids? Are there 20 kids?
I'd say approximately 20 students.
20 students.
And that's across the grades.
Yes.
But also creating some copycats, I think, along the way, because it changes the culture.
I'm sorry, what?
I said also maybe creating some copycats along the way because it changes the culture.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we need to have that tier 3 that's effective, which means more resources. I was going to say it during my update, but I mean, we've got 6 new applications for EAs right now. And the principals are scrambling to try to figure out when to get those hired. We'll hire them this year. As soon as we get them trained, we'll get them into buildings to help out. We have some additional staffing, so we just need to step up over the, you know, do what we can this year, but definitely plan for a multi-tiered approach. Have to do it because our staff's not been built to survive this. So, you know, we're going to burn everybody out, but it stays away. And, you know, I'll warn you now too, that Maria and I are going to come talk to you about finance versus budget, right? I mean, where it's going to do the things that we need to do to make schools work, mean that we're probably going to expend more than is our revenue show, but then we need a 3 to 4 year plan to even that out over time and to get back where we, you know, living with our budget. But to do that in a 3-month period can be catastrophic to disrupt. But
So
it's being worked on.
just, so with some of these 20 kids, let's just say, just out of curiosity, sorry guys, I don't mean to drag this out forever. I'm just, how many are provided one-on-one support? Do any of them have like a one-on-one regularly with them? No.
First of all, we don't use that term anymore.
You don't use a one-on-one?
You may have continual adult support, but you're never gonna have a one-on-one, because a one-on-one's not good for a kid. They need to be able to learn how to deal with more than one adult. So we don't, you know, we're 15 years ago, we might have taken a person and attached it to a kid, and we don't do that anymore. That's one of the things that I said about the VA situation, both having the numbers and then the quality as far as having them trained well is a deficiency, not only here at Sunset, but at all the schools. We just don't have enough.
So nobody has continual adult support?
I didn't
or-
say that. I said nobody has a one-on-one.
Okay, so terminology, Yes.
There are quite possibly, without knowing the cases, there are quite possibly a few that have continual adult support.
mhm,
But that support may or may not be exclusive, right? So they could be like in the, what do you call it? The S? like
SLC?
The SLC room, where you might have, a ratio that's 4-to-1 between adults and kids. And, so maybe that continue, and in some cases 5-to-1, and that's way too big. Some of those students may have continual support, but they're sharing the support with another kid.
okay,
And we don't have, and I'll be honest with you, there's a danger in saying, well, what we need to do is hire, 20 one-on-ones and follow them around, because number one, we can't hire the people. And number two, I don't think it'll solve our problem long.
oh, I wasn't, definitely not suggesting that. I was just curious if there were individuals and if we received any kind of exceptional funding for them, or if there's another funding resource, if those individuals needed continual adult support on a very low ratio.
Yeah, from a special education standpoint, the way the funding works is that we get reimbursed on the first 11% of our special ed kids. Okay, so for instance, if for easy numbers, if you have 1,000 kids, right, and you had 110 of them that were special ed, you get funded on all of them, right? If you have 200 kids, you get funded on the 110. You don't get funded on the other 90. And our numbers in the district, and if Lisa's still on here, she probably knows the exact number, but I think we're around 15-16%. So we don't get funded on all our kids. The only other source of funding within special ed is when you, the high cost individuals. So if there's an individual kid that costs us more than $30,000 in a year, we can then recover a portion in excess of that $30,000.
And most of those are medical.
Most of them are medical. I think that Maria and I are looking at some different ways that we can do our accounting to maybe increase some of our high costs. But it's recovering a small portion. It's not something that's going to finance.
I think though, part of what I heard, Diana, is just wondering what kind of supports are put in place, and is it sufficient, especially for kids that are really struggling and impacting the other students around, which sounds like, they're struggling, but it's also having this larger impact on the rest of the student body, either directly through, some kind of aggression or something like that, through being afraid, creating an atmosphere where there's some fear, or potentially influencing other kids that are more vulnerable to behaving similar way. So I think that's right. I have the same question. What are the supports that we're putting in place? I hear it's not maybe sufficient, and I hear staffing is an issue, and also long-term financing will be an issue. We have to do that as well. I did want to say that too. I heard the idea that maybe the behavioral plans were not being looked at maybe enough. I might suggest that is I think that goes back to your question when you're dealing with like situations where kids are fluid and moving. I mean, looking at it, having a clear plan where it's updated regularly and used effectively is helpful. Because to have a plan that sits on a shelf that may not be, that doesn't do anybody any good. But it does require work to have a plan that everybody's paying attention to. And generally, if you're having this ongoing dialogue, you guys are having that kind of connection. But are you having sort of formal sit down? Let's as a team figure out what we're doing here, what's working, what's not,
I think some of those team meetings, well, they were supposed to start today, right?
Yeah.
Where Shelley was meeting with each one of her grades. And the first day that we were doing that, taking a half day for teachers to work and problem solve on this issue like that, to jump into some of the solutions, right? And I think it's gonna be some awesome work that the staff's gonna do. Today we got sidetracked because we couldn't get subs, get the teachers, you know?
And the sub request was put in well in advance, so, you know, it wasn't as though we hadn't planned for it, but we just didn't get enough subs to pick up the job. In fact, out of the 6 people that were supposed to get subs for today, only 1 out of 7. And so, you know, I toyed with the idea of, okay, maybe pulling my PE teacher, pulling my SEL teacher to cover a couple. But still, that wouldn't have even covered half the group. And then I sort of thought, well, maybe I can meet with each team member for an hour individually, but that's not going to get the work done either, because an hour conversation isn't going to allow us to delve into what we really need to delve into. So, you know, although we're really attempting to look at our systems, being able to do that has its roadblocks.
And with schools, time is always the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Because you have a responsibility to the 30 kids, or 25 kids, or 20 kids that are in a classroom all day long. So you don't have the opportunity to just go and have a meeting with people, which a lot of other organizations do that.
Yeah.
That makes it much harder.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. It'll get done.
Yeah.
And if we have to block out a week at the DO where everybody from the DO comes down and subs for the day, well.
And I think figuring out
We
community
gotta get a
resources
budget.
that can be a partner. I think there are probably some things out there that I can't say for sure. I know that you guys are doing everything that you can, but I don't know if Systems of Care, because somebody said that over there. Do you remember Systems of Care at all? There used to be a group that met here. Does that still happen? Do you know?
There's a systems of care through, it's coordinated by the CCO.
Yeah. And so there might be some resources out there that could just ease some of the things that are happening.
Yeah,
that
go ahead, Lisa.
allow support. Sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
I sit on all 3 levels of systems of care. I sit at the executive level. I sit at the work groups on Friday. And then when I can, I sit in the middle group with looks at the barriers. So I am very involved with systems of care. We do problem solve individual students. I problem solve individual students on the Fridays through systems of care. And then we also problem solve kids with severe medical needs and other things through community connections. And I also sit on that committee where we bring other folks and try to do wrap services and together work really closely. I mean, right now we have a grant that Kairos Carolina wrote a couple weeks ago. We're waiting to hear on it, where a Stronger Connections grant, if we get that, it'll provide us some additional skills coaches and a mental health therapist for the K2 and some of the other levels. So, you know, my job has been to try to bring in resources. You know, we have mental health, Coos Health and Wellness provides us therapists. The school-based health center provides us therapists, but it's still not enough. I mean, it's a lot. As far as the quote unquote one-on-one, what we do is if somebody needs that level of support, we give that person to the program so that that person can change. Because if you've ever watched a student be attached to just one person, they won't work if they don't show up. They don't work unless they actually take direction from them and not the teacher. So we're really careful on how we make that amount of support happen. But we do have students with that amount of support and have. We recently had a student at the junior high where actually we had our educational assistant rotating through, but we were also getting support from we were getting some CLCM and DHS support to maintain the student, because this is a student we were trying to keep in school until he could get into a residential program. We have quite a few kids that we're trying are on waiting lists for residential programs, and there are no spaces for them. So we have some severe needs in our community, and we try to build it. We can't do it alone. We have to build partnerships with the people out there, the people around us, and we're really working hard at that. But the need is just very great at all levels, from our kiddos all the way up to the high school and beyond.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I think at this point, we're gonna move on.
Oh, do I get to get out of the hot seat now?
Yeah, give you a chance to sit down. But thank you, Shelley.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
It's always good to see the data on our kiddos, and, we get to see data like that. Hopefully at least once a year, and Chad comes and presents to us for those.
Well, thank you all for your questions. I appreciate it, all of you.
Here. Let's see, next up, we've got, community center proposal, and it says Eli, Dennis, and Alma Desma. I see one of them here.
Yeah. That will be taken, that was another, didn't want to print the whole packet.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
And I'm here to give you an update and also to answer a few questions if you have. The update is as we keep doing sports and working with kids, we learn more and more. Like right now, we're into track season, and you guys can see a group of track kids at Sunset, and they don't have a long jump or high jump. So because Marshfield now is during track season, and after track, football and soccer are going to have to share the field. Half field for football, half field for the off-season sport, So we keep running into situations where it'll be great to have a facility, and even better, a indoor facility. I talked to other groups like Special Olympics that they want to be part of it. I talked to CHA, the Cruz Hispanic Association, and also Latinx, where we can host events. So it keeps growing, more opportunities for our community and kids, more important. And we're willing to do a long jump, high jump, even pole vault, because everything is going to be indoor and kids can practice all year round. So that's the update kind of on how we keep morphing, I guess, on needs from the community and the kids. And I don't know if you guys seen the proposal and have any questions.
I guess I have more questions for the district, and I don't know what if the district has done anything. I mean, as a board member, I'm like, I just like to give the district perspective on this. I mean, I just don't know, rather than the questions for you, or just as a board member, I'd be like, all right, so what does this impact to the school? I mean, we have a facilities committee. Has the facilities committee looked at this as an option? Has our attorney looked at this? Because to me, how we do this, does it follow the legal process? Because,
the answer is no. As staff, we will do what you want us to do. I think that because the proposals, both this and previously, both came to the board. And so I think it'd be, if you have questions or you want us to do a study that either is a staff project or it's a subcommittee of the board to do the research that includes staff to do a lot of the footwork, I think any of those things would be appropriate. I think this back and forth every 2 or 3 months at a board meeting is going to
Where it's all at.
it's not going to accomplish a whole heck of a lot very fast. But again, it's been proposed to the board, so I think it would be presumptuous for staff to jump in and do a bunch of work on it.
But I just wanted to see. I didn't think anything had been done.
Yes, we have.
But I guess
It did come before the facilities.
okay.
Just at our last meeting, we were presented with this change in plan. We originally got the plan that they wanted the piece of property, that they were looking at this piece of property that's right over here between Sunset and Madison. An undeveloped piece of land that we have.
The one that was the church that,
That's part of their proposal. But the issue was the property goes all the way to, I can't remember what the street is, but this whole block goes all the way down. We own all the property to the end of it.
Oh, right.
And there's a whole big area that's
Behind
a
there.
wetlands.
Yeah.
So they were looking at trying to use it as a place to build a facility that did have a religious.
And we did at that point indicate that we didn't believe that it was advantageous for the school district to give up its only buildable piece of
property
that we still had in order, in case we needed to at some point build a new school. So then they came back with this proposal, which involves,
Blossom Gulch.
Yeah.
Which to me wouldn't, but that's not gone before the.
it has gone before, the facilities committee, but we didn't have a chance
Oh.
to discuss it. And, I think we were going to do some of that tomorrow, but Kevin is not here, so.
So is the proposal then asking to give Blossom Gulch to this project?
Well, or exchange, because I also learned that the admin portion will need a place to move, and you guys were looking at Blossom as offices, right?
Yeah.
So, but when I met with Brian, this property here between Madison and Sunset is more valuable if Goose Bay grows for you guys to build something like a school. But Blossom, because of some measures, some bond the past, you cannot have kids there. So it was more attractive, and it's a lot of land. I don't know if it's 12 acres or, so we want to develop in the back, we want to have an indoor facility, actually the size of a football field, multi-purpose for the community, all paid for. So it'll be zero cost to the school.
Will you be taking the building down?
No,
Okay.
no. I also been talking to the city to see what we can do. I guess people used to go there and fish on the side, and we want to kind of improve that. I mean, there are a few projects but mainly it's having a place for kids to develop. And you guys have the land, and I have a friend that will pay for everything. And even put utilities on a trust, so there won't be any cost. Yes, benefit for the community.
Nothing that that's property, that's the field behind, you're talking about the field behind Blossom, is there other
Yes.
property as well? Up the hill that's a.
Yeah, it goes pretty far.
It goes pretty far.
Yeah,
So a lot of that's just wooded now, there's not much there,
correct,
and except for the field that's been.
correct. And the current building, they have almost two gyms. It has the gym where they play basketball, volleyball, small, and then you have the kitchen area that can also be a gym.
Right.
Because we're also thinking about supporting multiple organizations like the 4-H, Boy Scouts, to have a place where they can have their thing to do. They don't have to carry from place to place, like square dancing, quilting ladies, robotics, or even I've been talking with Glenn, welding, if they want to teach other kids or show, yes, just a community center pretty much.
We know what our district needs are for Blossom Gulch at this point. I mean, we are short space wise, are we not?
So we are in a challenging place currently where we just completed the long range facilities planning committee. They identified a significant number of needs.
Can you talk a little louder?
Yeah, sorry, my voice doesn't go naturally that loud. We finished the long range facilities plan. That report is supposed to come out in the next couple of weeks and be presented to the board. There are a number of upgrades that need to happen to that building, but we are also working with a local firm to come out and do a TAP assessment, which is our seismic upgrade grant. We just received the assessment grant from ODE, and we'll be having an architect firm in the next couple of months come out and inspect it and see what we might be able to do to seismically update that building, whether a portion or the whole thing.
Engineering.
engineering firm, not architects.
Oh,
They're different.
Yeah. Is that WRK? Yeah. The state has kindly put together these little $25,000 grants to pay to have these studies done. The company she's talking about is WRK. They did some work for me in the past. And they're one of the, there's two major firms in the state that do the assessments. They're one of the smaller of the two. But what they're really trying to do is to get the district all the paperwork together to go out for the seismic grants that come out from the state every year. And those are usually about $4 million grants. So you can do some sizable amount of work. They're quite good. At one time, they were about half that size, and you had to, the district had to, like if you started on a building, you had to do the whole thing. And they've since doubled the size of the grants, and you were able to seismically isolate the building, so you can do portions of the building. So we're not going to be out any money to do that. And Blossom Bones is one of the facilities. Marshfield's another one. I think that they're going to do. I think they're doing up to 5 buildings.
I believe, I think we've been going through that process for a number of years in Nathan. We've upgraded a number of buildings.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I guess I would want to wait till I basically have the facilities committee to weigh in on what they think of this. I don't know what our long-term needs are. I don't know if this fits or doesn't. And I guess I'd also be curious, what is the potential, what is the value of this property? I mean, I don't know what,
Exactly.
Is there value? How much value? I mean, I know we moved partly because it's sinking. I know that the buildings across the way, Park West had foundation issues. The one next to it had foundation issues. It's all, on fill land. So, what would be the value given the relative merits of that property? So at least that's my thinking.
We have our next facilities committee meeting May 8th, I believe, and so we should be able to have a good idea to discuss the long range needs of the district after the report is finalized. And we might also have a good idea on potential costs for seismic rehabilitation to see if that is something that we can invest money into and make it useful for the district or increase the value. Yeah, I'm not sure at this time, but the facilities committee meeting in May could give us some answers.
And Alan, just so you know, I've been in communities where they have these facilities.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It's awesome to go to some of these places, and it's really, really great. I do have concerns too, though, like if we're giving up this property and then there is really no priority for the Goodley School District as far as using the extra fields or anything like that. At that point, it's a private entity, and then it doesn't necessarily create more space for Goodley School District.
It does, because we wouldn't use it like during the school time. Like PE can be used for there. We'd probably use it more after 5, like we're doing. We're leasing a place right now at the mall, and we do turf, we have indoor, we have batting cages, and it's busy all the time. But we don't have a need to, or it would be more like a partnership. We don't have a need to be there during the school hours because we work with the kids and the kids are at the school. So it'll be an extra place for you guys to have access, And we also talk to a few people like BASA who support it, and if you guys want to have a fundraiser or something, that would be perfect. I mean, it's to benefit each other.
Sure. And like I said, I love the idea of it, and I think it's brilliant. I would also I worry, I know there was some religious aspects tied to it last time, and once it's handed over, there is no way to make sure that space is safe for everyone. And Bible study is great. Is Quran study also something? And so those are the things I think about when we're giving.
Yeah, so to address it, maybe not answer it, as we go, we're learning, you know? But if there is any conflict with the school, we're flexible. We just want a place for kids, mainly the sports. I mean, I can be selfish and I can have my friends build a soccer field because soccer is my passion, you know? And, but I want something bigger for the community, you know? But and that's why I'm here for it. And we talked about a chapel one time, but if that's a concern, we're not gonna have a chapel. We want this to happen, you know? And we can have it in writing, you know, we'll never have a chapel. There was also a miscommunication, because I got friends that called me, I heard you're building a Christian facility. I'm not, you know, or educational to compete with the school. We're not gonna have teachers because we try to, one of our biggest mistakes was try to provide and please everyone, you know. Hey, I don't have a place for my kids to do after the school. Okay, maybe after the school program, you know, but we're learning, but pretty much we wanna work with the school district, you know. That's a priority, and that's why I'm here. If you guys say, we don't want you to work with, or have a welding facility because we already have a school, then we don't, you know, and we're not planning on having a welding. But if you have a need to have, I don't know, kids that want to be electrician, plumber, or carpenter, hey, we need a workshop, you know, or even Marshall, I think, used to have I forgot the name, where kids work with engines. Yeah, and I don't know if you have it anymore or not. Maybe you don't. Maybe we want to build that. We'll support that. We'll support virtual reality. I'm big on that. You know, if kids want to go and explore Mars, okay, let's go take a trip of kids. You know, it will be a destination also for any of your schools. You know, but I'm a community member. We just had yesterday a soccer team that came from Medford to play us, but my heart is Marshall. You know, I went to Marshall. Selfishly, I wanted to be in Coos Bay, you know, and work with you guys, you know, but I'm here for the community, you know. And
Well, my heart is with Marshall.
yeah, and the main reason why I came is, you know, to stay under your radar, you know, say I'm here, you know, but we also have a small window and not to put pressure on anything, you know, I have a friend that said, I'll pay for it, you know, 2, 3, 4 million, he doesn't care, you know, he has the money, you know, and he helped a lot of places already, you know. So to me, it's kind of timing is good. All the different variables are coming together, but there is a lot for work to be done. You know, you guys have questions internally with your the school district, but I'm here to answer any questions, any conflicts, any challenges that you say, well, we will never allow you to have this. I want to hear that, you know, so I can say, yes, we're not going to have it. Or, Alan, we have a need for, like, I don't know, a special group, you know. Let's make room for that. Let's see if it's doable, you know. So it's clear, it's transparent, but we want to cover as much as we can because it's what we need as a community.
Guys, we don't have enough sports fields or everything, right?
It's horrible. It's horrible. Right now, even Marshfield football and soccer teams are sharing 50% of the field because we have this off season, and then the other clubs we don't have access. Right. So we're here with track, and then what else are we? At Golden Field, that is in horrible shape with soccer. We have 4 teams or 5 practicing at once. And that's not good, you know. We take what you guys provide, but we can improve it.
Is that because we don't have any? I mean, a lot of cities have a city
parks,
a lot of property. We don't really have one of that, do we?
No, we don't. And I also talked to the mayor of Coos Bay and the city manager, and they support this, you know. And we have conversation, you know. And I say it doesn't happen with the school. We need to work with the city. I did say that, and they're willing to because they see the value on the community, you know, and it'll be great. It will be a destination and it'll improve. I don't want to sell the idea of like, oh, we're going to host tournaments and all the hotel restaurants are going to be busy, but they will. So it will be a destination. Right now, we even have kids from Brookings coming here just to play indoor from Brookings.
Yeah. Dave, to get the conversation going, would it be helpful if staff came up with a list of questions and made a list of concerns that would have to be addressed, and bring those
I
back?
think it would be helpful. I mean, I agree. I don't know all the process. Like I said, I would want the facilities committee to weigh in just to sort of,
Absolutely.
because obviously, as you said, it's one of our assets. And we don't have a lot of assets. And so what we do with them is important. You know, especially when we know what we're looking at budget wise over the next 2-3 years. You know, we've got some challenges internally. But then I don't know too about, even if we were to want to do this, the legal process involved, you know, when you're giving an asset to an organization, usually public bodies have to be very clear about how they do that. It's got to be a fair, equitable process. You can't just, here you go. You have to have a process. So, but that really depends on, you know, us also facility. So I don't know, timing wise, do we do that now? Or do we kind of make sure that this actually is something
We
that
should figure out what we need to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. I mean, I just wrote down questions, concerns, and structures, right? Because you're right, you don't just sign over the deed. There's a structure to that process and there's laws around that process. And if you even if you did want to do it, what's the process of doing it? Right?
Yeah, it's a public, it has to be a public process.
I would want community feedback
Yeah.
too, and this,
Well, I mean, the first thing we want to do is,
yes,
what's the legal process for doing it?
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know if we can do it by next month. We can give it a try, come back with questions, concerns, and structures. And maybe even give us a roadmap to discover what we don't.
I will say, it would be remiss not to, I had worked with Alan for a long time, and he has been an asset to our committee in a whole lot of ways. So I do appreciate the stuff. What you've done is nice, but in general, you've been a good help citizen to our community and at Marshfield in particular. But so thank you for that. And I do think we should look at these things because we never have enough facilities to meet the needs of what our community needs. And the schools need to be a part of that with the cities and with the others to make sure that we have places for kids and activities to happen. You know, the 4-H and all these other places are never without needs for having places to be in. So.
And one more thing, we're not asking for the whole property either, you know, but we want a place, you know, and that's been, as we spoke, you know, a better, a land with less value. I don't know if I'm saying it right for you than the land that you guys have here that is better to build and grow as a school.
Right, but it's still a big building. So I mean, you know, if we did move the DO, I mean, chances are you can move the DO down there and you'd still have 3/4 of the building to do something else. Right? It's not like the DO would take up that building. So I mean, that's why I say, like, you know, questions, concerns, and structures. The structures of, and I know that your friend wants complete control, and I you know, we need to find out legally that's
correct.
possible, or if it's even something that's advisable.
Correct.
You know, for the,
And I'll add to the list that you have, I'll add kind of like a wish list, you know, if there is a group that needs a place or something, you know, to bring it up and see, we can support or
See if
provide
there's a win-win.
opportunities. Yeah,
Any other questions for Alan?
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for
All right, next we've got our business office update. Marina, give us the highlights.
Hi, highlight, enrollment is at 7. Yay, I haven't been able to say that in quite a few months. We are 2 off from April of last year. I am anticipating ending with a very similar enrollment from last year, about 3,005, 3,003 is what we ended up with last year. So it is pre-COVID numbers. We are back to 2018 April numbers. So good news. We'll probably never be back up to April in 2019, where we were at almost 3,300. But we are remaining more consistent, thankfully, year over year. We will continue to see decreases as projected by our data analysis for the long range facilities, but for this year, we are right about at what was budgeted. Good news. On to the financials. General fund is looking great. We are not expected to be over any allocation or appropriation. I will continue to monitor that as we get closer to the end of the year. We have state school fund reconciliations coming up in May. So as that comes up and I need to do potentially a reappropriation transfer, you'll see that in the June meeting. Special revenue funds are looking great. I just did for third quarter claims. We received about $2.5 million this week into our bank account. Great news. We are spending some big dollars out of ESSER 3, spending that down before the September 30th deadline. We are making significant progress on our HVAC project at Mellicoma. It is on track to be done early summer to allow for move-in, to finish up over the summer and allow for occupancy before school starts. So great news on that project. All looks good. We are not over any current allocations. Debt service, nothing exciting to report, but you will see significant expenses in June. And then capital projects, we're doing well. We have spent most of our bond funds now as we have completed the construction for the 2 new classrooms in Mellicoma. Everything now remaining is primarily HVAC and HVAC related, and so we don't anticipate spending any more significant chunks of money out of the capital projects this year. Those are my highlights. Does anyone have any questions?
So in our capital expenditures, we have a contingency fund.
We have a contingency in the general fund, but not in the capital.
But not in the health. That makes me, I didn't want to have something left over at the end.
Not out of debt service, or not out of the bond funds. The bond funds will be spent to be paid.
Okay. That's what
And
I wanted
I'm
to hear.
hoping to do that as quickly as possible,
Okay.
so they don't keep going.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Any idea where the HVAC equipment will actually be here?
It sounds like it's on time.
All right.
It sounds like they've been installing like ductwork over the last couple of weeks. And that the people working on it, I think it's Comfort Flow. They believe they're on track to be done. Yeah. It sounds like everybody, I mean, I know things happen in the next little bit, but everybody said we're gonna be ready to go for the 24-25 school year. Yeah.
We're feeling good about having all of the ESSER money spent by September.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's supplement, no, supplement, not supplement.
It's not, you don't have to worry about supplanting with the ESSER money, so even if we got down to it, there's a couple quick journal entries and we're good.
Move some teachers in and
Appreciate that.
claim it down. Yep.
Can't believe it's end of the ESSER funding.
Yeah.
Really?
I know.
We're on our own now?
I got to the school district 2 weeks before the COVID shutdown. I started May like 4th or something like that, or March 4th. And so it will be crazy to not be dealing with ESSER restrictions and reporting, but I am very excited.
I'm a little worried, but okay.
Well, I'm looking forward to good things.
I mean, I read about other districts' financial situation and what they're dealing with, and it makes me a little bit churny just looking at what we're.
This
Well,
district planned very well in utilizing the HVAC funds. They did not have a ton of staffing coming out of ESSER, and they didn't add a ton of staffing. That's what was happening with a lot of school districts. They were adding positions, but from what I can tell, they were really strategic about moving our current staff into ESSER to allow us to build up a reserve.
Which is what smart people do.
So we are very thankful that they laid down good budget.
The thing that's always interesting here, in 1954, this district, you go back and look at it, the high school is about the same size it is now. And then they started building mills and cutting trees. And it blew, the high school went up to 2,000 kids. And they had to build schools and they had to do a lot of stuff in that period of time. And depending on whatever happens with our port, the same thing. I mean, the projection if the deep water port happens is that Coos County will grow by 20,000 people. That means there will be an impact on schools, and having facilities and doing stuff is going to be really important. So it's always good to look at facilities and all kinds of things, planning for what may or may not happen. Just so we know.
Thank you, Marina. And I'm just gonna get this moving on.
Oh, yeah. I'm
After 8
next
o'clock,
again.
we don't do very well as a group. I know that.
No, it's okay. I'm up next again. And so we had an RFP out for our auditing service because Laura Fisher did retire finally. Lucky for her. And so we did receive one proposal, which is why we did not have a scoring committee. We received one from a small, similar built firm in Roseburg called Umpqua Valley Financial. I have worked with them on a different level, but they're qualified. They do a number of schools, a number of municipalities. They were recommended to us by ODE to reach out to. They will be doing on-site field work, which is a huge benefit to us. And their proposal came in at $36,000 for the first year, plus about $5,300 for our single audit, which is lower than what we currently spent for this year. This year we spent about $52,000. So for the first year, it will be an audit decrease for us, which is great. And then they're expecting about a 3 to 5% increase in future years. But I would like to move forward with them and start working on a contract, but I wanted to bring it to you guys first.
Yeah, you need a proposal?
Motion.
Yeah.
How long is this contract?
It's 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
I would move that we approve working a contract with Umpqua Financial.
Yeah, Umpqua Valley Financial.
And Umpqua Valley Financial.
I second that.
All right. Any other discussion on that?
Looking for maybe a go to the CPA world, I guess. I didn't realize an audit costs that much.
I promise you it's not worth it. I promise you they do a lot of work for not that much money.
Give it a couple of years, get everything streamlined, then you can go back and start saying, look, we're a tenth of the problem we were the first year, and you can actually get it reduced.
We have to say that the audit was helpful for us as well.
It was. And I did, when speaking with the firm, they called with a couple of questions during the bidding process, and I did communicate them. So we are used to having a pretty direct service with our auditors because we could just call Laura at any time and ask her questions on new GASB announcements, how we want to handle things on the books. And they're very well aware of that and did actually put it into their proposal that we will not be charged for those phone calls and those communications, knowing that it will make their life easier and equitably as well. So
The first 2 years is going to be a training process
for everyone.
Okay, all right, so the motion on the floor is to look into contracting with Umpqua Valley Financial for auditing services. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that motion passes. And that brings us to our superintendent's update.
Okay, I'll be as quick as I can. First of all, very excited. Caleb Burke is here.
Yes.
Welcome our new Student Services Director for Coos Bay going
And
forward.
thanks, Lisa. Yes.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know how well you guys know Caleb, but to me, an incredibly impressive story. When somebody starts with you as an EA, works their way through as a teacher and a vice principal and the director over the last 14, 15 years, there's been a lot of work put in, and she's just an impressive young lady.
And her kids are welcome.
Yeah. But, I'm excited.
You're getting the hand.
Lisa's giving you a hand.
Lisa's like, I get to retire now.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you retire. You don't have something-
Look at this smile.
I'm not worried. She's gonna do great. Got a great replacement. She's gonna be fabulous.
And I think that's a universal feeling.
Yep.
It's a universal feeling. Everybody's there. So, don't disappoint, okay?
Yeah, no pressure.
We're having pretty much wall-to-wall budget meetings this
Yeah.
week. Meeting with all of the principals and directors and supervisors and taking a look at what everybody's needs are going forward. Eventually, we're trying to set up the accounting system that we can, over the next few years, the business department and the new superintendent can train all the managers in the system in the ways of budgetary responsibility. I mean, I told Eli, I said that ideally, I'd like to tell you that teachers cost this much, EAs cost this much, you know, here's $4.2 million, what do you want your program to look like? And I think that as we've got a lot of talented people, and I think as you unleash their creativity, I think that it's been my experience when you allow really smart people to do things, they will come up with much better ideas than any one or two or three individuals. So should be good. Already mentioned about the EAs we were interviewing. We picked the 2 weeks for the summer for training. One of them is right after school. One of them is right before the return. I think that that information should go out next week. And what those weeks are. And it's one of those things where people can choose one or the other. Give you some options. We talked about the teacher teams. Lisa talked about the Kairos grant, so that's all I've got.
Okay. All right, any questions for Brian? Okay, moving on, we've got a policy committee update, David.
All right. So these are coming back. We just got an update from OSBA. I think there's 40 or so policies to be updated. So we'll be working on chipping away at those.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Laundry and dishes, there's always more.
Huh?
You said that right. Did I? Okay.
The first one's kind of a unique one. It's not a district policy per se, in the same sense that the OSBA hosted policies are on our website. This is a policy for the Marshfield High School Community and Memorial Scholarship Committee, who would like to become more a part of the district, and that would come with some funding from them in the future to help support that as they grow. Their host of volunteers grows older. They're looking for a way to ensure that this scholarship that they work so hard on continues in perpetuity, and they figure the best way to do that is to bring it into the district as much as possible. So they wanted us to, they brought this to the policy committee twice. We reviewed their changes to the bylaws, and the hope is to make that flexible enough so that when the need comes up to bring someone on in the district, they'll have the ability to do that. So there were some changes in there that allowed them to spend more money out of the scholarship fund for administering the scholarship, as well as some verbiage changes as well. And Arnie, did I leave anything out there?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we have over $7 million now. So that means we get about 4.2% interest on that from the Oregon Community Foundation. So almost $200,000 a year for scholarships. It will only grow. There's 61 or so individually endowed scholarships, people's names and information about them that the kids can apply for. And about a 1.5 million of that is for vocational only. So you get fairly big vocational deals because there's not as many kids apply for them. It's been an amazing thing to watch grow since its inception back in about 1999. And so I have been pushing with them for a long time that we aren't going to last. Those people that started there from the very beginning are still there, and getting it more connected to the district, since it is all district money. I mean, it would be really good to have right now, there's 2 accounting systems going on. Les does his own thing, then he brings it in and they correspond to make sure that the numbers are all the same. And it's been amazing that they are always very close. Right now, there's $150.
There's 150.
So we're looking for it. We don't know where it's at. But we know how much we have, and we know how much. Anyway, it's been an interesting thing to watch. And $150 out of $7.5 million.
Yeah,
It's not a whole lot. So we would love to develop it such that part of the money that comes in from the interest can go to paying for our salaries so that we can have a part-time person. Right now, the district does that as part of what they do. But I think there comes a time when they'll take over more of it, that it's a bigger responsibility and they need to be paid for that. And the scholarship should be able to handle that. There's a fairly big amount of money that's in kind of a open field, people just donate money. So it has a fair amount of money for that kind of stuff. So I am exceedingly pleased that it's there. I love the scholarship assembly that we have every year where kids get to see the kind of money that goes on. And in the last few years, I think they've been shocked that, estheticians getting $31,000 from a Marshfield scholarship. It pays their whole program, 2 of them last year. Those kind of things are fun for kids to see that there's options out there, and that the school district and the community is willing to help them. So that's important. And I think the bylaws make sure that that's smart. They changed the name, so it's not quite so long.
So then, Arnie, so the district then officially takes up the financial accounting system
Eventually, at some point.
and then also takes over some of the membership responsibilities within the committee. Is that right?
I don't know about that. I think there will always be this way it's written, there will always be a committee that does the selection process or does all that kind of stuff. What the biggest part would be the accounting part. So there doesn't have to be 2 sets of old books and all that kind of stuff.
My understanding is that currently we have a Les's checkbook,
Exactly.
and that's literally what it's called. And then we have iVisions, which is our audited software. And I think the intention is that we move off of a Google Doc called Les's checkbook. And that everything comes in and out of iVision. So we do all of the reconciliations, we do all of the trash.
That would be the hope.
I'm
That's been my vision for a few years, actually. It's taken a while to get there.
I kind of like let's checkbook. Keep that header.
Sure, that's fine.
I will tell you that
We just keep using it.
as a high school principal, I was told from the very beginning and always believed that money is the one thing that'll get you in the most trouble.
That's
So
right.
absolutely, just try to make sure you do all that kind of stuff right. And Les is one of those true blue people that he will kill himself if he doesn't do it exactly right. So it's nice to have him, but there comes a point, and as I keep telling him, someday we all die, Les. So it would be really nice to make sure that when that happens, all the stuff is moved over to a place where it's easy to handle.
And we've met a couple of times, Les and I have, and Angeline, and Angeline is our accounts payable head. And she works pretty directly with him. They are the 2 who have
Yeah,
access to the
exactly.
checkbook, and they think they're gonna find that $150.
Yes, they
Mind
will.
you, ours is sometimes we have an extra 150, and Les is the short 150. So
Average us out. We're gonna have a $300 swing. This is getting out of control.
But if we have a really great relationship with the Oregon Community Foundation, who invests our money and takes care of it, and it's been really amazing to watch. And so one of the things you promised when you set up this thing, when you, the school board, set this thing up, was that we would never spend the actual money that the people put in. And there is no account that is not bigger now than it was before we started. So, because if we don't spend all the money, we put it back in their individual accounts. And so all of them have more money in them than they originally put in. So that's a real positive thing from the standpoint.
So just from a procedural standpoint, then, this is going on the docket as much like a regular policy would, and the board would have to adopt their bylaws.
They are your bylaws.
They are our bylaws. Okay.
I always have been. This has always been a school district program. So they've kind of said, I don't want to do with this. Les, why don't you take care of it? Yes. For 24 years.
Thank God for Les.
Yep.
So we'll consider this first reading, and then if you have any questions or concerns, let me know about them. I'll bring them up to Les. We'll get it revised if needed, and then we'll bring it in for second reading at our next board meeting or adoption if there are no questions. All right, on to the next one, IKC. Eli brought a few policies, 2 policies to our attention that needed some updates. The first of which is IKC. We're not on a trimester system, and I'm told have not been for a number of years. So I think that got missed at the last update in 2011. So he updated that for semesters, which is what we are on.
So we're gonna take the previous valedictorians away.
Yeah.
I think so. You know, I think it's only fair.
We'll send them a letter.
You've been stripped.
Yeah.
And then he also added number 8 at the bottom, that the valedictorian and salutatorian must have met the requirements for an honors diploma as outlined at their prospective schools. The reason that doesn't say Marshfield High School is destinations in Marshfield may have separate requirements for the honors diploma. Thank you. And yeah, you don't want somebody who's exceeding to not be able to get it because somebody took very easy classes and had a 4.0 the whole way. So you want to be able to highlight those kids that are going the extra mile. The next one is the graduation requirements. That's policy IKF. There was just some minor language changes and then some new requirements that are, if not yet, will soon be required by law. So we wanted to get those into our policy so it was reflective of the current ODE requirements.
There's one that goes in and out every few years, personal finance.
So,
Yeah.
so we've had
It's
this
back.
now, no one
It's
who's,
back.
that our seniors, because they haven't taken civics, are gonna be able to graduate in June.
I think this is.
Yes, because next year is when it
Yeah, but the
officially
reality
goes
is
into effect.
Civics is a sophomore level class. So,
We passed the graduation requirement.
Well, we won't do it tonight anyway. Maybe we'll have to delay it till, our July meeting.
July meeting.
There you go.
I didn't look at it that close. Is there a phase in?
There is not.
No, it's just that this is the requirement.
he,
So
Brett, Eli explained why that wasn't necessary, but I might want to check it to make sure. But at the policy meeting, he talked about
Yeah.
why he wanted to do it now as opposed to later.
And then I did notice there's like 3 or 4 different spellings of biliteracy on page 12-9.
I mean, part of the thing is that the requirement is for 2025, I think.
Yeah,
The class is a sophomore level class. So if you don't put it in early, they won't know that they have to do
yeah,
it.
that's what it was.
It's 2026.
2026?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
But-
and then there's another phase in.
Yeah.
Well, we have a bunch of different phases we need to go through.
there is some language in the footnote to, Adrian, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
all that's applicable about time frames.
And I will fix truth be told, I did copy and paste that, so I'm gonna have a bone to pick with ODE on the biliteracy thing, but I will get it fixed.
All right.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you, David. Well, let's see, get back on track here. So we're on to board member highlights.
So I will say that it was fun to go to, the cook-off downstairs in the kitchen here where they had a couple students, one from Lighthouse School and one from Sunset. One produced a pancake type thing with peanut butter and homemade caramel and stuff.
Better caramel, it looked amazing.
It looked amazing. And the other one made a shrimp tacos. And they were both, we didn't get to eat them, but amazing there. But the staff that did eat them were raved about both of them. In fact, the one said, "I've never liked shrimp, and now I'm gonna have to get this recipe." So, I mean, it was really good competition. And so, our food service people decided when it came out a tie after they voted on each of them. Then they had another vote just on the kids, and there were 4 judges. Bad choice.
Yeah.
Came out a tie again, and they finally said, "We're just gonna make sure everybody gets the same stuff, and we'll send them both regions."
So it was really good. They took it really serious as little chefs. Pretty impressive. So, yep, that was good. Anybody else?
I went to site committee at the high school and was very pleased to hear about the attendance. Eli had good news about attendance too. It had slowed down, picked back up. There were no seniors now that were outstanding on their list. And so that was good news.
I think they're needed.
Okay. And
I wish I had something.
I had a lot of stuff because I wasn't here the last board meeting, but condense it down. I was able to go to a track meet with the Future Chefs with Arnie. I did play as part of the Clambake Swing, the Swing Band and the Clambake Music Festival, but I only mentioned that because I saw a lot of district and former district staff there, both volunteering and doing stuff at the festival. So it was really great to see. And then just this last week, I started doing robotics at junior high after school on Thursdays. To do some recruiting and train for a team for next year. So we'll see how that picks up. I had one kiddo last week, but I didn't put out flyers till late Tuesday afternoon, so not surprising.
What time, Adrian, on Thursday?
It's 3:45 to 5:15, so basically after school.
I know some kids who would want to go at that age level.
And that's in this big Macklin's room. It's room 219. Let's see. So then also we've got coming up our licensed appreciation. Let's see. And that is the week of May 6th through 10th. So I have a proclamation to read. These are always tough because I don't usually speak for very long periods of time. So whereas the Coos Bay School District Board of Directors recognizes the indispensable contributions of our dedicated teachers and licensed staff members to the growth, development, and success of our students. And whereas these exemplary individuals tirelessly commit their time, energy, and expertise to nurture a supportive learning environment that fosters academic achievement, personal growth, and social emotional well-being. And whereas the efforts of our teachers and licensed staff extend far beyond the classroom, encompassing mentorship, advocacy, and innovative instructional practices that inspire a lifelong love of learning in our students. And whereas the week of May 6th through 10th, 2024 has been designated as Teacher/Licensed Staff Appreciation Week, providing an opportunity for our community to express gratitude and recognition for the invaluable contributions of these esteemed professionals. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Coos Bay School District Board of Directors hereby honors and celebrates our exceptional teachers and licensed staff members for their unwavering dedication, passion, and commitment to educational excellence. We extend our deepest appreciation for their tireless efforts in shaping the future leaders of our community and commend their steadfast devotion to the success and well-being of every student. In recognition of Teacher and Licensed Staff Appreciation Week, we encourage all members of our community to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to our teachers and licensed staff for their outstanding service and profound impact on the lives of our students. So, thank you. Look forward to seeing what all happens during that week and all the little bits of appreciation for our staff that we appreciate every day. Let's see, and then the last item on our agenda is to consider a requested leave for a high school employee.
Chelsea Burns is one of the counselors at the high school. She has an opportunity to teach in Brazil for 2 years. And she would like to then return back to Coos Bay at the end of a 2-year period.
You probably know Portuguese.
I don't.
I don't know any Portuguese.
You will know Portuguese.
I can read it, I can't speak it.
And, we're talking to the principal, Eli says that Chelsea's gonna go, and she goes, I want her back. So, you know, whenever that is, you know, just the technicality, we're promising her a job, we're not necessarily promising her the same job. And Eli said, I don't care, I want her back, so.
That's a good deal.
This is a
I have a
great
niece-
opportunity.
I have a niece that learned Portuguese because she was in the Peace Corps over in Mozambique.
Yeah.
And then she came back to go to law school, and they said, "Do you know Portuguese?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, there's this law thing going down in Brazil. Would you like to go?" And so they sent her to Brazil so it was a pretty cool place. So you should have a really good time. And I think you bring back to stay all that new experiences that I think is a wonderful thing. So I
Yeah.
appreciate this.
My 8th grade softball player is gonna be disappointed.
I just watched the at in grade. Not on base, so.
She's gonna be disappointed, you know, these kiddos look forward to,
Yeah.
you know, working under somebody or in that program, and so, but.
She'll be in
sounds like
10th
what-
grade.
I was gonna say, we'll have her back at some point, so.
And you can recruit some baseball players.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a good Brazilian that played basketball and won the national championship. That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, this is an actual.
So let's say,
A program.
It was just, I was looking, through a kind of like a recruiting type company for international schools. And I was looking specifically at Latin America and South America, because I've traveled quite a bit down there. Mostly I was looking for something where I could continue to become fluent in Spanish. And so, I ended up down there, I don't know any Portuguese, but it's just an opportunity that I don't really want to pass up.
it sounds like Spanish, but it's a lot harder to understand. You know Spanish and you hear Portuguese.
Yeah, the conjugation seems pretty similar, you know, I guess I can read it and I go, oh, that's what that means. But, when they start pronouncing it, I'm like,
Yeah. We had a Portuguese foreign exchange student for a year who was in speech and debate, was correct, so.
Maybe.
Oh, she was incredible. Yeah. All right, so this is a request for, a leave request, I believe, request for leave longer than 1 year required to go for board action. So I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the leave request for Chelsea Burns, ending in June, expected return date of June 20th, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second? I'll second. Thank you, David. All right, any further discussion? So let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so that passes.
See, and the motion says you have to come back.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to.
It's on our letter.
It's on the thing,
This
yeah.
does sound like an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And, but again, that would be another thing it would be great to hear back.
Yeah.
And see how that went.
You know what city?
Rio,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Rio de Janeiro, so.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Bummer. But, yeah, and I put the request in for 2 years because through most international schools, once they pay to move you down there, they want you for more than just a school year. so.
It'll cost you a lot in taxes if you don't stay there too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly where he is, but Alex Garcia Silver that went to Marshfield is in Brazil right now.
Oh, is he?
And he'll be there for 2 years, I guess, on a
Mission.
religious mission.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I know this is kind of a long meeting, but we did have some nice discussion about our school and that. And we are. Our meeting in a while.